Constitutionally, what is Constitutionally, what is the position? If a state says, or if a chief minister says that this is not going to be valid in our state,
that will be construed as defying the constitutional spirits, and also at the same time instigating the people. Who has to contain the violence? The state government herself. Now the person who is in charge of the law and order situation in the state herself is fueling this kind of violence, leading to death of innocent people.
Why do you think Rahul Gandhi didn't speak?
I was equally surprised. Even Priyanka Gandhi was not present during the voting. There are huge pressure from the Christian community for the Congress party and other MPs to support the Waqf Amendment Bill.
Mr. Owaisi has said that now Sambhal, Gyanvapi, Mathura, they'll be removed from Waqf control, and there'll be an attempt to seize these because it's sensitive, and other religious properties.
Broadcasting around that the Waqf properties means the masjids, the dargahs, the qabristan, these are going to be snatched away by the government. This country rules through a law. We are governed by the constitution.
You heard Mohammad Yunus's comment when he said कि ये सारा northeast का area कट सकता है if we decide.
He is totally misunderstanding the situation. Maybe he's not a matured politician.
The allergy is because you are from Arunachal.
The Chinese authorities should not create any kind of issue with regards to passport and visa. It will be in the best of the thing for the Chinese government to accept Arunachal status and let us be friendly.
This episode is powered by easemytrip.com. Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching or listening to another edition of the NI podcast with Smita Prakash. My guest today is Kiren Rijiju, Union Minister for Parliamentary Affairs and Minority Affairs Minister. We spoke about a whole host of issues. Of course, the most important was the Waqf Amendment Bill and now an act. We also spoke about him being a Buddhist and a Minority Affairs Minister, about why the BJP doesn't have a single MP from the Muslim community. We also spoke about him prioritizing physical fitness as well as mental fitness in his life. So here's listening to this conversation with Kiren Rijiju. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Very happy to have you here. I've been pursuing you for almost a year now. Ki aa jaiye podcast mein. So I'm very happy you're here. Have you done podcast before?
That was a year back.
So that's cancelled now.
Yeah.
Okay, very happy to have you here. And I was extremely keen, especially after listening to your speech in Parliament on the Waqf Bill. That was a phenomenal speech. Of course, you came armed with all facts and figures and things like that. But I liked that आपका जो स्टाइल था वो थोड़ा appealing to the opposition and appealing to the maybe the undecided out there. So it was like, so you had this, I like the style that there was this aggression from one side, Akant and all, they were like very aggressive, and yours was like a toned down, appealing style, good cop, bad cop kind of thing was happening.
No, Smitaji, my character and nature, both are well known from long time. In fact, I was also known as a person who has a vocal power, not muscle power. Earlier days in politics, there used to be muscle power. Of course, that days are gone. So in the parliament also, aggression is required at times when there is a situation in the parliament when you have to enforce your viewpoints and all. But I prefer to speak in soft language, but sometimes I become loud when things require to put in the high pitch. But see, the bill itself is a very balanced bill. So I require to get the other side of the softer side also into the perspective. And of course, there are certain things which were there in the bills, which were harmful, detrimental to the national interest. So that required some kind of big push So I was kind of, as you rightly mentioned, mix of soft and hard.
Soft and hard. Yeah, I noticed that. So just for viewers and listeners who haven't seen it, especially those who are sitting abroad, you must go into YouTube and watch Mr. Rijiju's speech, as well as the other BJP speeches, which was of Tejasvi, Sambit, Anurag, Jagdampa Palji, Nishikant Dubey, Sudhanshu Trivedi, JP Nadda, Nirmala ji. You had like full on, like one battle formation. All of you came on out there. From the opposition side, there was Gaurav Gogoi, Akhilesh Yadav, Nasir Hussain Owaisi, Imran Pratap Gadi. Why do you think Rahul Gandhi didn't speak?
I was equally surprised. Even Priyanka Gandhi was not present during the voting. She was absent. And Rahul Gandhi came much later to vote. He didn't take part in the proceedings, nor did he speak. I feel that one of the reasons could be there are huge pressure from for the Congress party and other MPs to support the Waqf Amendment Bill. That could be one of the reasons. And secondly, maybe he wants to play a safe game because this bill is a landmark bill and whatever you speak will remain. So he played a smart game maybe, but for me it's not a smart game. This is an important bill where the important leaders should have spoken. And from our party side, I led the entire debate with the presentation of the bill, and the Home Minister intervened, and some of senior MPs you had mentioned, they also had a very good presentation on the debate. So leader of the opposition didn't speak. Well, that's up to him, but I was also a bit surprised.
What is the inside story? It's the Christian pressure that you think? Christian community? Kerala Christian community?
The Kerala Christian groups, with the influential groups, they had made it very loud and clear that this bill has to be passed. And the larger Christian organizations, which are all India based, they also made a very ardent appeal. That could be one of the factors.
Okay, tell me about the Northeast. How's this bill being received in the Northeast? Since you also are a prominent political figure from representing Northeast India, so please tell us about that.
See, this Waqf Amendment Act, which is a law now, this will be having its consequence mainly in Assam and to some extent Tripura and then Manipur. Tripura, the extent may be lesser, but Manipur, there are some issues. And Assam, by far, will have a larger consequence. The other tribal states like Arunachal, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Sikkim, mainly the northeastern states, are insulated from this effect of the bill because we have put a provision. The creation of Waqf cannot be done on tribal land, which is any land falls in 6th and 5th schedule of the Constitution. So it will not have an impact on the tribal areas. And the 5th area is in other parts of the country. 6th schedule is Northeast. Basically the character is same. So Assam and Manipur will have an impact, but impact means positive impact.
Okay. Yeah. Because we just did a whole bunch of podcasts in Chhattisgarh. Wahan pe bhi, if you know, like the tribal areas, there's a large tribal community. So there also this Waqf bill, people were looking with interest, even in Madhya Pradesh and all, because many of the areas, the tribal community is also scared now that what happens now. Suppose the Waqf community says, the Waqf people say that this is our land. So that also, this whole thing about Jal Zameen,
no, of course, that is very emotional issue for the tribals. So you very well know that tribals are so much attached to Jal, Jangal, Zameen. And there are instances which have come before us that Muslim man marrying tribal woman and then getting converted and then finally creating that particular land owned by the lady as Waqf property. And once a Waqf property is dedicated, it can't be reversed. That is why we have to be very careful. In a tribal area, if the lands are declared as a work property, then it will have a forever status change. So that is why we had deliberately put this amendment in the parliament, and now some people have challenged that provision also. Okay. So the tribals will be raising their voice, and I believe that some of them will be appealing in the Supreme Court that any protection given to the tribals should not be challenged. Tribal lands and tribal rights are protected by the constitutional provisions. So it's not that we have just inserted on our whims and fancies. We have aligned with the constitutional provisions.
What happens if states say that, which many of the chief ministers...
If a chief minister says that he or she will not follow the constitutional requirement, that means his or her occupation into the position of chief ministership itself is untenable, because any law passed by the parliament is for the nation. It applies to entire territory of India. So how can a person sitting in a constitutional position clearly, defying the spirit of the constitution? That is undone. We can't accept that. But as I said, these are political statements for political gains, to take a posture to please certain communities for political interest. And that is totally untenable, and we can't accept that.
But you're already seeing now, since the past week, street protests have begun. They've begun from Bengal, like many protests begin from Bengal, and then they go to other places in the country. Do you see this being contained only in Bengal, or do you see this rising? Because there are other states which are going to go to polls this year, and if it is like a chingari, it's a spark that can result in political benefits, it might spread.
In the long run, whatever the Chief Minister of West Bengal and some of the political parties are doing will have a deep negative repercussions in terms of establishing not only rule of law, but its propriety of the constitution. Now, law and order is a state subject. Now, the Chief Minister herself in West Bengal says that she will not accept and will not implement this act in her state. That will be construed as defying the constitutional spirits, and also at the same time instigating the people. The violence which had happened in Murshidabad and other parts of West Bengal, and we do sporadic incidents elsewhere. These are the result of these unmindful political statements given by Mamata Banerjee and some of the political leaders, which is condemnable. I fail to understand that sitting in such high position, undermining her own position. Now, for example, the violence in West Bengal. Who has to contain the violence? The state government herself. Now, the person who is in charge of the law and order situation in the state herself is fueling this kind of violence, leading to death of innocent people.
Why do you say she's fueling it? What is she doing?
She is openly saying that she doesn't accept the law. See, Smitaji, we have to understand one thing. In democracy, any law passed by the parliament, it may not have 100% support within the house, because house is representatives from all the states, all the union territories, and the majority of the members come together and makes the law.
Sure.
Now, when the members make the law, it is a law of the parliament, means law of the nation. So, if you don't agree also, it is passed by majority. So, majority passing a bill becomes an act. She may not like it. She may not be aligned with our thought or the government of the day's thought. But then how can she that she will not, implement this particular law in her state? That itself is a questionable stand. How can she say that she doesn't, believe in this particular bill, and so she will not apply? She is bound by it.
How are the other states where minorities are in large numbers responding? Jammu and Kashmir, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, how are these where your government is not in power and minority has a style? How are you reassuring these states, firstly the people of the states, that the rights of the largest minority in this country are safe, that they are not going to be victimized? Plus, how are the leaders of these states responding to this?
So first of all, when we say Muslim community, large section of Muslim community are wholeheartedly welcoming this act. The requirement for change in the Waqf Act, the necessary amendment which we have made, are in fact suggested by the committees which were formed during the Congress time. If you see 1976, Waqf, that inquiry report, and then the Sachar committee report, and then K. Rahman Khan report, that is a select committee again in the parliament. They all have talked about making the management of the Waqf property in much more efficient, transparent and accountable manner. That is exactly what we have done it. And then the Waqf properties in India are the largest Waqf properties in the world. It is not only in the country. Some people keep saying that
after
the
railways
and the defense. How can you compare the defense and railway properties with the Waqf properties? Waqf properties are owned, managed by private individuals. Railways is like the railway tracks, thousands of kilometers. We travel on that. The railways don't use it. They use it for us. And defense is for the people of the country to safeguard India's interests, safeguard its territory. So first of all, the Waqf properties in India is the largest in the world. And despite having the largest Waqf properties in the world, how come these properties are not being utilized for the welfare of the Muslim communities? See, the purpose is three, for charitable, pious and religious purpose. So, if so much of Waqf properties are being mismanaged by few of the powerful people who are, in a very surreptitiously mishandling the entire Waqf properties, and few families are enjoying the fruits of these properties, what about the 90%, the larger section of the Muslim community, the weaker sections, the children, the women? So what we have done is, we have made sure that the misuse will be prevented in future. And Smitaji, I must tell you, we knew it. We will have this kind of resistance because those powerful people who are misusing so much of Waqf properties will definitely not give up easily.
Yeah, okay.
They will resist. And that is what we are seeing it. But what we are saying is, let people read the provisions of the Act and tell us if there is any provision which harms. So Muslims are also Indians. Shouldn't we think about Muslim community? How can we leave aside one community and let all the irregularities keep on happening unchecked? We can't see that. We are the government of India. We have the responsibility to ensure that every citizen is taken care of, every community is looked after. So the people who are spreading this false news, all this, unverified claims, and just merely broadcasting around that the Waqf properties means the masjids, the dargahs, the qabristan, these are going to be snatched away by the government. This country rules through a law. We are governed by the constitution. How can anybody snatch somebody's property like that?
When the farm bills came and when the NRC regulation that was going to come, there was a lot of street protests which happened, and farm bills were revoked, and the NRC has gone into cold storage. That has not happened. What are the chances that the way the street protests are happening, CAA you didn't. You stuck by it, it happened, and the protests died down. Maybe because COVID happened or whatever. God knows what the reason was, or the funding stopped for the CAA, for the protests. Nobody knows what happened, but the CAA protests fizzled out. But the farm bills went into revoke mode, and NRC went into cold storage. What happens if the current protests against the Waqf bill also becomes widespread? Is there a chance that they would be revoked too?
No, we can't be comparing the farm laws with the Waqf Amendment Act. These are two different things. Here in the Waqf Amendment Act, it is a question of not only ensuring justice to the needy people, but preventing the wrong things, wrongdoings, the illegal acts by some of the people. In fact, I must tell you, for last nearly 8-9 months, I have been receiving numerous delegations from the Muslim community urging urgently to pass this Waqf Amendment Bill. And then finally we passed it. So it's not that we just came out of blue. And the consultation process has been
Then who are the
widespread.
people who are protesting? If
The protesting is only the opposition parties, those political parties which treat the Muslim community as vote banks. They create, fear-mongering. They keep scaring the Muslim community. And from the long time I have been witnessing these people, they don't want Muslim community to develop. They want to keep them isolated, create fear in their mind, and then make them anti-BJP. But many of the Muslim communities are now coming forward. I have met so many Muslim communities, even when I went to Kashmir also, so many, common people, they came, the Muslim women, the influential people also came to me and they said, "They're very well done. The Waqf Amendment Bill passed."
Similar to what happened with Article 370 when people in Kashmir came and said...
Same thing I had just compared in one of my speech also, that during the abrogation of the Article 370, they said there will be bloodshed in Jammu and Kashmir and some parts of the country. And then when CAA was being considered, they again said that this will lead to snatching away the citizenship status and other rights of the Muslims. Now, nothing such has happened. In fact, the Citizenship Amendment Act has been now a kind of a ground where we are